All right, all right. Welcome back to day 2 of trading futures. Yesterday we had a fantastic first day of trading futures. So we're going to continue that vibe. All right, we're going to continue having good days here. We have a bunch of data coming out today at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll go over that in a couple minutes, and then we'll see what we get. Tomorrow is Liberation Day. And tomorrow's the day when all of these tariffs, reciprocal tariffs, and or whatever, are supposed to take effect. And I believe that's when the announcements of what the tariffs are going to be will happen. So tomorrow, I'm expecting a pretty wild day in the market. All right. Today, we'll see what happens at 10 o'clock. We can go over real quick what we have coming up. So we have the big hitters today, S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. We have, that actually comes out in 22 minutes. Then we have all at 10 a.m. We have ISM Manufacturing PMI, ISM Manufacturing Prices, and we have JOLTS. Okay. Big hitters, big hitters. So we get 4 pieces of data really in the next 15 or in the next 20 to 30 minutes that will most likely affect the market. Okay. And then tomorrow, besides it being Liberation Day, we also have ADP non-farm employment. And that's really the big hitter for the market. We also have crude oil inventories. And then, yeah, so U.S. President Trump speaks, and that is looking like at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's going to be a kind of crazy day through the entire market day, I think, right? Sideways trading, probably volatility, until we get that speech from President Trump to announce exactly what is happening with the tariffs. And that's if we even get a solid, there's still a lot of uncertainty around, and there's still maybe continued uncertainty, because we don't know exactly how long the tariffs are going to be in effect for, if there's going to be negotiations afterwards. He might implement these tomorrow, and then a day or two later, conversations are had across the world, and then the tariffs change again. So there's going to be it's going to be a little while before any of this really starts to kind of, pan out, calm down, and then we start to see what the effects are going to be, if there are going to be any effects, is it going to be inflationary, all that stuff. So still going to be a lot of questions. I don't think tomorrow is really going to answer many of those questions. I think what is going to happen tomorrow is we're just going to get what the tariffs are going to be, but we're still not going to know what the effects are. We're still not going to not going to know whether they're going to be inflationary. People will obviously assume one way or the other. There will be articles from both sides, so there will still be a lot of uncertainty, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, we give it some time, let this stuff play out, and then by the end of the year, I think we'll definitely start getting some very clear direction. I do think that we're looking at some rocky road for the next 6 to 8 months. Okay, I do think that is the case, but we'll see. We'll see. So it's day 2 here of trading futures, using Top Step as my prop firm. I'm still using the practice account. I want to give that a couple days to really feel comfortable and test some things out. I did a lot of that yesterday. Very, very happy with it. If you guys watched my recap video, I kind of go into detail with that yesterday. So I'm excited to keep going. I'm excited to get into futures. I'm excited to learn some new things, and we'll see how it goes. I have some things marked out on the chart already. If we move over to the 15-minute here, I've just charted out the highs and lows from previous day, the lows and highs for today so far, and then just a little, some liquidity points, obviously. Um, and we'll go from there. We got about, what do we got? Like 3.5 minutes here until New York session open. We've already pushed up above previous day highs so far today. But we'll see, we'll see if we head back up there and continue higher today, or if we're going to get a little rejection somewhere in this area here to push back down. We do have an area, a fair value gap here, actually. I should probably mark that out. I just saw that. This is a 15-minute fair value gap here. Yeah, that's actually a good one, too. 1, 2, 3 candles, the middle candle giving you the fair value gap. Might be an interesting place. All right, so we'll see what we get here. And yeah, cheers and happy trading. All right. Cool. So again, we got some ISM manufacturing numbers coming out at 10. We got that stuff. We talked about what's coming up tomorrow during Liberation Day. I just like saying that. And then let's see what else we got here. We did talk about quickly what else we're getting. We got Thursday. We got some more. Let's see, PMI numbers. And then Friday, we have a bunch of unemployment numbers, or employment numbers, I should say. So pretty busy week this week with data and with the tariffs, which has been the topic for quite some time within the markets. It has brought a lot of uncertainty into the markets. Okay. All right, we got less than a minute here for the New York session open. Already starting to get a little push to the downside. We did not make it up to these previous highs here. Let's see what kind of volatility we get during the open here. All right, and here we go. Already a very strong push to the downside here. go. And a quick turnaround. Didn't quite reach the previous wick here. That doesn't mean that this one isn't going to do it. Yep. So a quick little push to the downside, probably grab some liquidity first thing during New York session open here. And we are pushing right back up to the top here. Not quite. Looks like we're getting a little pushback here from these highs. Pretty decent rejection right there. I mean, really, we can go any direction still at this point, so wait a little longer to see what we get here. This was a pretty strong rejection off of this area here. So we got buyers and sellers on both ends here. I'm watching the 15-minute chart here too. You can see this, the first candle here is really kind of just going back and forth. So until this candle closes, really, it can, we could be heading in any direction, honestly. So still getting some decent support down here. First article on Market Watch here. Stock indexes are headed toward lower opens as Trump tariff speculation ramps up. That's all it is right now, speculation. Oof. Tesla sales fell by nearly 40% in France for the month of March. Let's see how far we can get here on the upside. I don't think the buyers are strong enough right now. They try, but we're getting these pretty decent size rejections here. Let's see if this can, yeah. Just under 3 minutes for this 15-minute here to close. So still no direction yet. What do you think? We trading sideways today, or are we going to get another dump? Could go either way. This is a 4 hour. We had a nice bounce yesterday. Very volatile morning so far. So here's our last candle for this 15-minute. That'll give us our morning range here, just from highs here to lows here. Just so you guys can see how this 15-minute closed. I mean, really not the greatest candle in the world, right? A little indecisive. Let's see which way we break out first. I think today is going to be a day for in and out trades. If you stay in any kind of trade for too long, you're going to get stopped out if you take any at all, honestly. All right, we're making a push for the high end of the range. It'd honestly be kind of silly to get into any trade right now anyway, seeing how we got data coming out in 15 minutes. So Our S&P Global Manufacturing PMI data should be out. I don't have the number yet. But this is the reaction candle here. So not really much of a reaction. Oh, so we did push high, higher than the opening range here. We wicked higher. Let's see if we can continue to push there. It's a nice, decent push. So we are now entering our 15-minute fair value gap here. Just about halfway through. Okay, so the S&P manufacturing PMI came out slightly higher than what was forecast. So we were looking for 49.9. We got 50.2. So that's good. That's okay. The previous was 49.8. So that's not bad. Canadian manufacturing PMI went down. Okay, it's not bad. Now we just got to wait to see what the rest of them come out to be. And then we can go from there. We only got, 9 minutes left here until the rest of the data comes out. We are within our fair value gap here. So we'll see how price reacts within the fair value gap, especially once we get that data out. And then I'd say then we can start looking to at least figure out, start planning on what we want to do for trades. It really doesn't make much sense to plan anything right now because I'm not getting into anything until after that data comes out. And then we're going to get some, possibly some wild reaction to that data. Remember, we have three pieces of data that are coming out at 10. All of them are high impact to the market. So let that, fizzle out, let the market do its reaction, and then we'll go from there. We go from there. So we came in about halfway up in our fair value gap here. If we didn't have that data coming out, you know, we could be looking to start planning here because we look like we're um, coming back out, and heading back to the downside here. But with that data, we could run back here and then get that data in 7 minutes and then shoot right back up to the upside if the data comes out really good. So just doesn't make any sense to take that risk right now with that data coming out. I can with Top Step, there is no uh, rules against trading during news or whatever. So which is which is nice. Um, but I still got to be smart, right, about my trading, and I know that those particular points of data are high impact. We have three of them: JOLTS, ISM manufacturing prices, and ISM manufacturing PMI. Those are all big hitters for the market. So yeah, I don't want to get caught in a trade um, until we get that data out. Once we get that data, then we can kind of figure out what the deal is, and we'll go from there. Then we'll start planning. Hopefully, we can get a trade in. If not, no big deal. Tomorrow, we won't trade either because it's going to be crazy. We'll see. We'll see. Ugh. Pretty cool. I'm just reading the report for the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI here. So, drop in factory output follows strong growth in February. So, we had a little bit of a drop in March. Hiring stalls as orders rise only modestly, so slightly. But this all makes sense with everything going on with the tariff. You know, cost inflation spikes to highest since August of 2022. And here's the thing with that: we don't even know what the tariffs are, and so just because just because of the rumors and this and that, companies have been increasing prices um, just to get ready for whatever, right? The possibility of spikes and whatnot. The thing that companies are going to have to be careful with here in the U.S. is, and outside the U.S. is the consumer is pretty much tapped out. So there's not really much room for companies to continue to increase prices. So they're battling with can they even increase prices to, to take up whatever the tariffs are going to be, or are they going to have to take the tariffs in the margin? And quite honestly, with where we're at right now, people are starting to spend money less, so these companies may have to take the tariffs in the margin. And that's exactly what, you know, I think Trump is hoping for, and they'll negotiate and they'll bring tariffs down on us, decrease tariffs, and and or decrease their prices on their products. That's where we're at. If we were in a place where the economy was super strong, people were making money, people were spending money, and then you implemented, tariffs, then yeah, these companies would pass those costs along to the consumer. And they may try with these tariffs also. I don't think it's going to work because the consumer's tapped out. So if they raise prices, people just aren't going to buy their products. And that's going to be bad for them, not really for the US, right? Because you'll just buy a product that's cheaper and similar, and then they'll have no choice but to negotiate. And that's the whole point. So we are in a good place to do what we're doing. All right, we have a minute and a half here until we get our data. All right, not too bad there. I don't even need this up because I didn't realize that I get the data through Top Step X, which is pretty cool. Less than a minute now. Here we go. So US JOLTS, we're expecting 7.6575 mil, which is slightly less than what the previous number was. ISM manufacturing PMI, we're expecting 49.5. And then we already got the S&P one. Okay. And then we got ISM manufacturing prices, 64.6 is what we're expecting there. And we got about 13 seconds left until we get those numbers. So let's watch how this next candle here reacts. And here's your reaction. Wild, like I said. All right, let's get these numbers here. Let's get these numbers. ISM manufacturing new orders came in less than expected. Spending came in better than expected. ISM manufacturing prices paid higher than expected. ISM manufacturing PMI came in at 49. We were expecting 49.5, so not really terrible there. But US JOLTS, 7.568 mil versus the expected 7.6575 mil. Much less. I mean, much. It's less than what we were expecting. So some good points, some bad points here. Let's let the market figure out what it wants to do with this data, and then we can try to figure out what we're gonna do. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Could have been worse. Let me take a screenshot of this and pop it into the Discord. All right. So here, this is the candle here for the reaction to data here, and you can see it's, yeah, it closed lower, but like this is, I'd say, confusion, right? We are starting to push lower. I would just, We'll see what happens here. We got a lot of support here previously, so let's see what happens here again. And then we'll figure out what we're doing here. I'm going to try to post this data in the Discord while we're waiting here. Do, 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 do. Okay. I mean, it's not great. Jolts, it's not great either. Coming in lower than expected. Manufacturing PMI is, we were expecting 49.5. We got 49, so it's a little lower than expected. It's not a crazy miss. U.S. construction spending month over month actually went up. That's kind of a good thing. U.S. ISM manufacturing new orders index was much lower than expected, so that's not great. So kind of a little bit of mixed data this morning. And we can see that here in the market too, right? Still don't know what direction we want to go. Okay, let's take a look at the JOLTS report. Yeah, so this report here is basically saying that within all of the data here for JOLTS, not everything was little changed as far as like separation, quits, layoffs. Everything was pretty much the same as previous. So I mean, that's a good thing so far. But jobs is kind of the last thing to roll over if we are going into recession, right? That's what you'll see roll over last. Number of separations actually decreased. Well, yeah, nobody's going to want to leave a job right now. Everybody's worried about layoffs or recession. I think most of what we're seeing for um, people going jobless at this point is probably all federal jobs. All right. It's not too bad. It's not terrible. All right, so now we're starting to make some new lows during the New York session here. Not too bad. Hmm. Wonder if we're going to end up range bound today. So we pushed past these lows here. Looks like we're retesting. We're pushing right back up to the other side here is what we're doing. See where we close here. Hmm. I almost want to take this back up to the other side of the range here. Or not. Hmm. Yeah, it looks like we are headed down. The question is can we find a decent place to get in? If you look at the 15-minute chart here, we are definitely pushing down. We're headed right for um, lows of today. If we break that, then, I think we definitely got some more movement to the downside, and there's room to move. Well, let's see. All right, so we're approaching lows of today. Coming in hot. Losing a little bit of steam just based off of volume, but this could spike up. Honestly, we get close here and we just spike in volume and push right through this. We'll see. Honestly, this was probably a good place to get in right here. We didn't break this wick here. We pushed right back down to the bottom. That might have been a good entry to continue lower. But you'd also be hoping that we break the lows of the day, so maybe not. We'll see. It's a pretty strong candle to the downside here that's going to close very strong, I'd say. We're going to push right down to lows of today. See if we push right past it. See, the bulls are reaching, but the sellers are just coming right back in. So a decrease in volume down here. on both sides. We might get a little consolidation here. This would have been nice here if we didn't have data coming out. This ended up being a nice trade out of the fair value gap here on the 15. See, we peaked in halfway, closed pretty bearish, retested. Yeah. Wait to see if we're going to consolidate here or if we're going to push past the lows of the day and then continue pushing down. Just have to be careful here. I'm going to wait for a little bit of confirmation because this market can turn on a dime. That's what we've been seeing lately. So here's our pushback lows of the day today. Push past. Did I say past or back? Um, Still, I'd just be careful here. Make sure we're not just seeing a liquidity grab. So what I would like to see is a nice strong push here, a slow retest, and then maybe a continuation after that. That would be nice. It doesn't mean that that's what we're going to get. We might honestly just fall from here again. So it definitely got a little spike in volume with this push past. Just a little one, though. It wasn't anything crazy as far as volume goes. Let's see. Okay. So nice pushback up above lows of the day with volume. Nice push up here also with volume. We might be getting a little turnaround here. Let's see if we can't come back and test down here. Hmm. Nice little bounce off the lows of the day. I think we're still safer to look for shorts though today. I guess we'll have to see. There's no reason why we can't consume the previous candle here, and that might happen. If that does, then obviously shorts not so much maybe. But as far as right now goes, I mean, it looks okay. And we just barely peeked past these wicks here. Hmm. I don't know if it wants to hold. We got 2 minutes left in this 15-minute candle. I don't know if we're going to hold. Hmm. Just show you guys how that candle closed. So a decent bounce off of the lows of the day. Kind of closed meh. We'll see if we retest here and what happens. And we are pushing higher slightly. Here we go. It's just that this is, again, one of those setups where you're looking at a range day. And right now we're in the middle, you know? Not the greatest place to take trades. It just is what it is, you know? This market structure here. We're sideways trading, range bound. We're getting some rejection here, though. See how this candle closes. So if you look at this area where we are here, rejected here, here, 1, 2, 3, depending on how this candle closes, 4 more times. Now we're falling here. I might take a little trade to the downside here. We'll see. We'll see. This is a nice little rejection area here, but so undecided. Even everybody on the platform, it's based off of their tilt here is what they call it, where you can see the percentages of long and short positions for everyone using the platform here. It's 50-50 across the board. So very undecided. Very undecided. Which tells me, honestly, this is really not the greatest place to get into any kind of position here. This is kind of what happened yesterday too, where he ended up, you know, setting a range here, and at this point, it's like you need to see a break in one of the ends, which we did end up doing yesterday, and I did end up trading off of that and made a really nice trade off of that. But this is just one of those things where you kind of have to wait for one of these ends here to break, or you take a risky trade. Go in light, you know. We're still seeing rejection here, but we're still trying. We're actually starting to lean more towards the long positions here. The long average price is 19,351. So we're getting on some positions placed here for longs. I could see that. There we go. There we go. Get a little push there. I'm still not convinced. So the positions here for at least top step anyway is definitely leaning more towards long positions now, but you know, that doesn't mean the rest of the market is leaning that way. If we take a look at the 15-minute, yeah, we could be getting a bounce here, but ultimately, you know, I guess you could draw a little fair value gap here too, which we are in at the moment. All right, there you go. Nice, nice candle here on volume. Okay, good for you, 63% of people. Nice. Big push. So here's the thing, right? Now, if we make it back up to the highs here and we break past that, then hey, let's let's look for position. Right? I'd rather get confirmation um, than get in somewhere in the middle of this range and you don't know which way we're gonna go. This could completely reverse right now, right? Look where we're at here. So let's see what happens. I can get rid of this. As soon as I drew that, it was like it knew. Rocket. All right. So on this 15-minute chart, you can see this like wall here, basically, or nothing is closing above that. So we have 4 minutes left to this candle here. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Almost the same story as yesterday, except yesterday we continued pushing higher. Now we're consolidating. Today, so far, we're consolidating. So we're coming up to the top of the range again. Let's see what kind of moves we make here. At least this is a cleaner push to the upside, right? And versus this choppiness on the way down here. This is we had a nice push out of lows of the day here, a little consolidation. Smarter people than me got in right here, and they're riding this move right up to the top where we actually just broke highs of the day here. Okay, so this is nice. Nice, clean move to the upside here. We might actually be getting a continuation up. This looks okay. I'd rather trade off of this, though. I mean, and from here, honestly, we can go either way, you know? So right back into our fair value gap that was left behind on the 15-minute chart. Came right up to about halfway again. Nice volume on the way up here as well. retest it here. I might actually take a long if this closes decently. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll wait for us to retest here first. Mhm. Fair value gap here. Bigger than I'd like to see, though, on a minute chart. Hmm. It might be grabbing. Well, nah. I was thinking about taking a little scalp back down to this fair value gap here, but I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, no. Definitely getting tired up here, but that doesn't mean that, we might just be taking a little break here, get some consolidation before we break higher. Okay, here we go. So basically filled the gap now. I wonder how many people got in down here. All right, we just pushed, we peeked through, we pushed right back up. Nice, strong, bullish candle, taking out, one, two, three, four candles basically. Um, this might have been a nice entry here, or even this one here, if you missed this. What a beautiful ride up. Okay, here we go. So pushing outside of the fair value gap on the top side, hitting previous day highs, which we've already pushed past. So at this point, honestly, we're coming up to today's highs. Um, again, like, do you take the chance of continuing to the upside? I mean, you could. This looks pretty bullish here, but it's a pretty strong rejection earlier in previous session here. So, you know, so you definitely got some supply here. Suppose this would have been the trade of the day here. Probably on the close of this candle, honestly. We came back. Yeah. This looks like a good setup right here. Off of lows of the day. That would have been nice. Close there. Even if your stop loss was way down here, targeting previous highs, still a 2.5 to 1. Not bad. And that was pretty quick too. Coming off this consolidation here, I can see what they were looking at. Get a little wedge here, basically. Well, that's what we're here for, right? To watch, learn. So let's see what happens once we reach high of the day. And then, from there, you kind of like, I don't want to say no man's land, but you got room to move still. How much higher are we going to go today, though, with tariffs tomorrow? Unless the market's giving itself some room to fall tomorrow. All right, so let's see what price does here at highs of the day. And then we can kind of reevaluate from there. This might be a place to short actually, because we got last time we came up here, there's a very strong rejection off of that area there. So let's see. Did you go already or no? So this is what I'm looking at here. So this would have been the trade for today, honestly, because if you look back here, this is where we came down, same place, and we got our move to make, um, continue making higher highs of the day. This is where we are now. Strong rejection, pretty much right back down to where we bounced earlier. And so now we're testing again highs of the day. The only thing I'd be a little concerned about is this is a very strong push back up to highs of the day. There might be enough momentum to push through, but we can watch carefully. We might be able to grab um, a short here off of the top. Again, the only thing I'd be concerned about is the momentum that we do have moving to the upside here. So we'll have to see what price does. So this current candle is going to close our 15-minute. This might actually be pretty significant if we close above the high of the day with this 15-minute. I think we might still have room to the upside, and we might be able to grab some of it. This is a nice move here. We were able to come back down to the lows of the day and um, grab enough liquidity here to make this very strong move back up to highs of the day. Very quick. All right, we did close above. And we got some decent volume on that close also. So yes, it does look bullish. I agree. Yes, it does. I'm hoping we get a little pullback, but I think momentum's going to carry us here. If we can come back down to this area here and retest here, this might be a good place to actually get in for a long. But we got some momentum. Again, this was the trade of the day back here, right here. Yeah, this would have been a really nice trade here off of your uh, demand zone. Very strong move up. 3 candles, 3 15-minute candles, and you went from low end of the range to breaking out of the high end of the range. This was a nice move. Very nice move. Yeah, the average long positions are set up right here. So if we do come back down to this area here and we hold, this would be a good place to look for um, a long position to continue up higher. You gotta be careful and you gotta read. You don't want to break below here. So that's the current plan right there. I think we do have some more room to the upside. I would like to see price come back a little bit so we can get in a good place here and then continue up. We'll just keep it small with a single contract. But it just might be one of those days too where we just keep moving up. And I'm not buying up at the top, so. Yep. Apparently I need to be a little bit more aggressive with my trading. This is actually nice that you can see what the majority of the people that are using this platform are doing. I've never seen that before, and that's really cool. Because it just gives you an opportunity to learn. You can see where the majority of people are taking positions and what position they're taking. And then you can just notice structure, right? Like I've seen this structure before plenty of times. Um, same with this here. I've seen this before plenty of times. Never taken trades based off of it. But, this particular um, candle setup here on a demand zone makes sense, right? Obviously, it all depends on where it ends up being. If this particular setup was, somewhere in here or whatever, where wouldn't make much sense. But um, this would have been the trade of the day, I think. Coming off of the lows of your day, once again, you held here at the close of this candle here would have been a perfect entry, you know, nice move up. Um, as I'm watching what other people are doing, the next place that trades were taken for long positions was right in this general area here. And you can kind of see that. And you can see where you're making a little flag here, right? So this was not bad here too. That worked out for lots of people. And then now the majority of long positions are coming in here right in this general area here, which also makes sense. I've seen this structure before as well. So this is a really unique thing on this particular platform that it's not something you want to take trades off of, but it is definitely something that will help you learn, I think. Hmm. Still pushing higher. So now we're having so the same kind of setup here, right, is happening here. Where we have this little shelf here. So if we come back and we test the previous highs of the day, which is this line here, or we get close to it, we might be able to take a long position here too and see if we can continue moving to the upside. The only problem now that we have is how much more upside do we have? But people are still taking long positions. So let's see what we can get. Was not expecting this today, to be honest with you. It's actually this 19.5 zone. Yeah. Hmm. Very interesting. This might be what we're reaching for here. Fair value gap on the 15-minute left 2 days ago from our sell-off on, what was that? Friday, oh, 2 days ago. That was Friday. All right, let's see if we can't come back a little bit now. We can get in either around here, or if we come back down to this area here, we shall see. This just doesn't want to pull back at all. Mm. All right. I'm going to hang out a little bit longer, but I'm going to take a quick break. So you guys hang out. I'll be right Okay, we're back. It looks like we might be making a little double top here. Finally, maybe we're getting a little pullback. Oh, we got some serious momentum going here. Serious momentum. We haven't even slowed down. I mean, we're just, phew. Yeah. It's our first sign of a slowdown here, possibly. Might actually take a little scalp trade down to this downside here, down to our where we were looking to buy in. Oh, might not be ready yet. All right, so plan is let price come back down to this area here at the 19,510-ish and look to see the same kind of support here. And then we're going to take long position from here to continue to the upside. We'll see. If we don't get any support here, uh, then obviously we're not looking for the longs, but we are very heavily shorted now at this point. 19,539. It's very low. Still reaching up here. I might actually.
Order filled.
Let's take one contract back to the downside here. And I'm just looking for a quick scalp here. I'm just looking for a run back down to this 19.5-ish retest. I'll take profits here and might actually switch to a long position back to the upside here. I'm going to set a real tight stop loss, which is going to be right there. Because this is either going to work out or it's not. So I don't want to lose a lot on this. And if we break these highs here, honestly, then the trade could just quickly turn and continue to the upside. So I'm okay with a nice, very tight stop loss, just in case this does turn pretty quick. All right, there's our take profit right there. That's all I'm looking for. Quick little scalpy scalp. Let me mark this out. Starting to get a little support there. I might take profits a little early. So let this candle finish here. Mm. Just too much momentum to the upside, honestly. So if this doesn't work here, need a nice strong push past these wicks here. Just going to move to break even just because why lose anything, right? If this candle doesn't push, I might just close the position and take whatever profits we're at right now. I mean, honestly, I risked $90 for this trade and I'm up, 380-ish or whatever. So nice little scalp regardless, right? We are getting a little support here. Let's see. Can we push? I don't want to close it too early. It's a risk-free trade. But I do want to get some profits. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's see if we can't hit our TP here. Come on. If this candle closes bullish here or in the green in any way, I'm going to close it just because we're still creating a shelf here, if you can see that. So, you know what I'm going to do is just ride my stop loss down now. So, winning trade regardless, but we're going to let it run if it'll run. Either way, we're making like a, what is that, like a 3 to 1, 3.5 to 1 right now if I get stopped out. If we run, then obviously much more. Okay, great. Happy with that. Let me just put this where I can't see, get all these things out of the way. Yeah. All right, beautiful. It's still a 4 to 1. We took a 4 to 1 on that. Nice little scalp trade. Cool with it. And we might be setting up a little support here. This might be a good place to where did we get stopped out? Right there. Okay, so we'll talk about that after. Nice little scalp trade. Not much, but hey, one contract because we're so bullish here, I didn't want to put a lot. There's a small position size, very, very tight stop loss there, and just a little scalp. I think it was well executed. Moved the stop loss down with the trade. We started getting some support down here, and we ended up getting stopped out right here, which gave us a 4 to 1 trade on that. Small position size, no big deal, but good trade, I think. All right, now we're still looking pretty bullish here. I might want to take a move back to the upside, honestly. So we had our little pullback, a little bit of consolidation. The 15-minute chart still looks very bullish here. So we had our pullback. Okay, and we might be continuing to the upside. I think our target, whether it's today or whatever, is at this fair value gap here left back on Friday when we had that big sell-off. All right, we might be looking to come back up into this area here before tomorrow. Um, leave us some room for another sell-off. Perhaps. I'm just kidding. I can't know that for sure, but yeah, this looks okay here. So let's see where we might want to get a position in. I was looking for price to come back down to this area here, where you can see we had a bunch of support here. But we're so bullish and we have so much momentum right now that, we didn't have to come back down here. So I'm glad I read the price action properly down here. I can see that we're getting some support. Moved my stop loss down nice and tight. Boom. Still took a 4-to-1 on that trade. Lovely. So now I'm looking for possibly long position here. See if price can come back down to this general area here and hold, and maybe we'll take a long position. It's tough once we get up here because we may not move higher, but we may just consolidate up at this level here for the remainder of the day. And we're actually not, you know what? I think I'm going to be good with the trade that I just took, to be honest with you, because it's 11:47. Volume really starts to dip. And I don't think the market's really going to make any kind of larger move, at least not until the afternoon session. So I think that's going to be it for me today. I think I'm going to call it a win. I'm going to take my win and I'm going to walk. Small little trade, but big little trade at the same time, right? 4-to-1 trade. I think I called that out really nicely. Beautiful execution. I'm going to take that as a great trading day today, and I'm going to walk. Tomorrow's another day. Yeah, because like I said, 11:48 now. I don't like trading after 12 o'clock. Maybe the afternoon session, maybe I'll pop back in after 2 o'clock or come back and see what's going on at 2 o'clock. But I think I'm going to call it for today. I think that's the wise thing to do. I waited all day. I took my little scalp trade, and it was a success, and I'm good with it. So I'm not gonna push my luck. We're going to call it a day today. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to join the free Discord. Link is in the description down below. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate every single one of you. Stay green, and I'll see you all tomorrow.